going on, guys? It's Brandon here, back with another video. Today, I want to wish you guys all a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Before we get into anything, I want you all to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you are new. Today's video topic is not going to be a workout video. It is actually going to be a video about volume science to optimize your muscle gains. So there was a study that had individuals perform 1, 3, or 5 sets per muscle group 3 times per week. So the biceps had 2 different exercises and the triceps had 3 different exercises. This graph actually shows that training your triceps 3 times a week doing 45 sets is actually very optimal for the training of thickness for the tricep, but not always the strength. There also appears in this study that there actually was no or close to no diminishing returns point for muscle growth, meaning there was no point where the muscles hit a wall and you had to increase the training volume to build the muscles further. So what we can conclude from this study is that if you are training your triceps a lot, then they will probably grow a little bit and you will end up looking like this. So this next study that was published in 2018 shows that the training volume actually does increase the muscle growth, but it does not increase strength gains as much as your muscle growth. This next study had participants perform 1, 3, or 5 sets for 8 weeks instead of 6 months, and this led for 6 and 9 sets for the first set group, 18 to 27 for the 3 set group, and 30 to 45 for the 5 set group. The study also shows that the quads responded a lot better than the upper body. Since there are now 2 studies that show volumes training up to 45 sets to failure per muscle group is actually more beneficial than what personal trainers recommend, which is around 10 sets per muscle group per week. And this contrast actually comes from how long the participants have been training for. So since most of the individuals that participated in these studies were actually untrained individuals, they had the newbie gains phase where most of them were able to put on drastic amounts of muscle in shorter periods of time compared to trained individuals. This article actually says that the longer you have trained for, the more of volume you would have to do in the gym in order for your muscles to increase in size. This next graph actually takes into consideration every single study done on volume science for untrained individuals. This graph actually shows that the majority of untrained individuals, actually gain the most muscle in a little bit under 10 sets per muscle group per week. This is actually a lot less than 45 sets per week. This graph is again taking into consideration every single study published on volume science for untrained individuals. Now this next graph actually takes into consideration all of the studies published for volume science for trained individuals. And this graph actually shows that a majority of the trained individuals gain the most amount of muscle, a little bit under 20 sets per muscle group per week. So this is around 17 to 18 reps per muscle group. So this actually makes sense because if you are an advanced lifter, your muscles are actually used to being broken down and stimulated. So therefore, it would actually take a lot longer for your muscles and a lot more volume for your muscles to get broken down if you have already been training for multiple years. This article also gives us a very good diagram on all of the other variables needed to analyze how much volume is actually needed from person to person, because it's not always the same from one person to the next. You also have to take into consideration the stress level of the person, what gender they are, how much sleep they're getting for recovery, and especially their genetics. Now, genetics is a big part in training science, not just volume training, but how much you can lift, where your muscles actually insert on say the bicep or your abs, because not everybody has the blocky abs. So genetics play a very big part in physique and strength training. So the big question is, how much volume do you need, and is volume better for your gains? Well, it depends. Say you've just started lifting. and you've only been lifting a few months, then I would say you really just want to make as much improvement as you can from the least amount of effort. Meaning, try to only do 3 sets of 10 reps on bench press, let's say that. And then try to make as much progress as you can off of that before having to add another set. So yes, of course you want to progressively overload and get stronger over time, but if you go ahead and do a chest every single day of the week, 7 days a week, then where are you going to go from that? Because your body is just going to get used to that, and your body's not going to be able to make as much progress off of how much you're training, because once your body gets used to that amount of training volume, then where are you going to go from that? Are you going to be training 2 times a day for every single day? Like, that doesn't really make sense. You have nowhere to go from that. The next thing I want to point out is recovery. So the point of strength gaining and really muscle building in general is to stimulate the muscle so then it can break down and then regrow stronger than the last time. That's just how muscle synthesis works. So, taking that into consideration, then if you aren't giving it enough time to rest and you're training too much, you could suffer from overtraining, and 1, you could get hurt, and 2, you're just really going to get weaker because you aren't letting your muscle regenerate and get stronger. You're just breaking it down and leaving it there and just keep breaking it down, and you're really just going to waste away. Now, with that being said, if you do too much muscle training, you're going to look like this guy right here, but think you look like this guy. But really, you look even smaller than you are. In conclusion, you really just need to work hard in the gym, but also work smart in the gym so that you can really just make sure you're recovering and getting stronger over time. With that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new. Follow me on Instagram, and see you next time. Peace out.